Hey guys, Griffin here, and today I want to talk about trinkets. So a lot of people even ask me which trinkets are the best two trinkets, or what trinket do I put in now that I've got badge tenacity? And it's not a simple question of this and this. I mean, for a lot of people, it might be like Romulo's and badge, call it a day. But I think there's more to it, and I think it helps to understand the trinkets and how they play and why we choose what we choose. So first I'm going to explain the two types. There's obviously a threat trinket like Bloodlust Brooch, and there's a mitigation trinket like Badge Tenacity. I know mitigation might not be the best word because I would put stamina trinkets in with mitigation, but maybe survivability trinkets, stuff that helps you survive a little bit longer, whereas threat trinkets, they help you do more damage, which then usually causes you to do more threat. So those are the two different types. I personally like to run one threat and one mitigation. I know a lot of people run double threat, and there's nothing wrong with that. And some people wear double mitigation, and that's fine too, as long as they're able to hold threat perfectly fine. Now, the question is, if you have multiple trinkets that do the same thing, how do you choose which one? So I'm going to do mitigation really quick because it's actually pretty simple. If it's a melee fight, I would go with Badge Tenacity. The armor and the agi on use are just too good. Just if you can get the Badge Tenacity for a melee fight, I would use it. If it's a caster only fight where they're only doing caster damage for the most part, you might want to look instead at going with Gnomish Poultryizer or the Bright Brew Charm, like the 45 stamina ones. If you can't get a hold of those, Violet Badge one's decent, and Time Lapse Shard's actually pretty good. On top of that, it also gives you that resilience, which makes it easier for you to pick up different pieces of gear to keep your crit cap. But yeah, any of those are perfectly fine. I would pick Badge Tenacity first, and then a Stamina one if you're doing spell damage. Now when it comes to threat trinkets, that's where it gets a little bit tricky. So I'm actually going to use a chart that NerdEggHead came up with. So if you don't know who NerdEggHead is, he is a very well-known Druid dude that does like the Wowhead Bistless. He's also very active on the Druid Discord. And he made this chart. I'm going to put it up on the screen really quick. And what this chart shows you is all of the threat trinkets that are in TBC and which one is more effective for each fight length. And that's important because if someone says, what's the best trinket, it's really going to depend on what's the length of the fight. If it's a really long fight, it could depend. So for example, Bloodlust Brooch in the first 30 seconds is probably going to be one of your best trinkets. But as it goes on across the 3-minute marker, it might not be as well. But then you can pop it again and it becomes a good trinket again. So that's something to think about. If you're looking for something more consistent, Romulo's, Dragon Spy, and Tsunami, those are all really good, solid TPS trinkets. They're going to be consistent throughout the fight regardless. And obviously if you've got, if you have to choose between, let's say, Bloodlust Brooch and Romulo's, well, ask yourself, are you struggling with snap threat? Because if you are, Bloodlust might be your better way to go. It'll give you that early snap threat that you need to get the boss on you and stay on you. And then yes, later on, towards like the 130, it starts to go lower on the TPS. But if you look, it's not even that low, 33, 31, 38. And you're going to be able to pop it all over again and boost that thing back up. So Bloodlust Brooch is a solid trinket. If you're rocking Tsunami Talisman, also a really good, consistent trinket. Now, if you're confused about the colors, the color red means it's the best for that time slot. So like the top 3 for that time slot are going to be solid red, or the top 2 or 3, I should say. And then the yellow is like the decent, and then green means like it's on the lower end. So yes, you're going to see like Hourglass of the Unraveler. It's okay. It's not great though, because it runs mostly green across the whole thing. But if you look at I keep using it as an example, but it's such a good choice for it. Bloodlust Brooch, it's good early on, and it gets okay towards the end, and that's why the color gets lighter. So if you have any questions about, what is the best trinket, you have to think, what's the length of the fight? And, how am I going to be using it? Do I need snap threat? Things like that. And this chart should help you determine which trinkets to use. Now, I don't want to tell you which trinkets to use, so hopefully this chart will tell you, but if you want to share people with what 2 trinkets you use, go ahead and put them in the comments, because we always like to see what other druids are doing, and that's a great place to share that kind of information. If you have any questions about this particular chart, feel free to put that in the comments too, and hopefully I'll be able to answer any questions you have. Again, big shout out to NerdEggHead for doing the chart for us. And yeah, if you guys like this kind of content, please subscribe, as it really helps me out. And as always, guys, take care.